Hello students, welcome to this lesson on innate behavior. In this lesson, we are going to study some characteristics of innate behavior and types of innate behavior. What is innate behavior? Innate behavior literally means inborn, which means innate behavior is a behavior that an organism is born with or present potentially at birth or hatching. Innate behavior is genetically pre-programmed. That indicates this behavior is genetically hardwired in an organism and can be performed in response to cue or environmental change or stimulus without prior experience. Examples of innate behavior include withdrawal of hand from a hot object, blinking of eye when some dust gets in, the kinesis of woodlice in responding to changes in light intensity and humidity, nest building in birds, imprinting of newly born or hatching organism with the first moving object, weaving or spinning of a web by spider, feeding behavior of hearing gulls. When we see the feeding behavior of hearing gulls, young hearing gull knows that if it picks the orange spot on the beak of the adult or mother gull, it will receive food. Some scientists believed that there is no gene that directly codes for the behavior. However, there are genes that code for the development of the appropriate neural pathways to allow the behavior to be carried out, as well as there are other genes that code for the presence of a mechanism that causes the behavior to be carried out. This varies according to the types of innate behavior. Types of innate behavior. There are three main types of innate behavior: reflex action, orientational, and instinctive behavior. When we say reflex action is a single action performed in response to specific stimulus, maybe harmful stimulus. In this case, reflex action is nearly always protective, and these are the simplest of innate behavior. For example, the withdrawal reflex, in which a limb or hand is moved from a stimulus such as heat pain. The second type of innate behavior is orientational. Orientational types of innate behavior are more complex behaviors, result in the organism behaving in a way that is most likely to move from unfavorable conditions and remain in favorable conditions, such as kinesis of woodlice, cockroaches, and other simple animals, and taxis of euglena and other simple organisms. The third type of innate behavior is instinctive behavior. Instinctive behavior often involves the most complex behaviors, but there is always a fixed action pattern for each key stimulus. Once this instinctive behavior began, the fixed action pattern is carried out to completion, even if other stimulus intervene or disrupt the fixed action pattern process. Let us see reflex action in human being. There are two main kinds of reflex actions: somatic reflexes and autonomic reflexes. Somatic reflexes are reflexes that involve our special sense organs like eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue, and produce a response by skeletal muscles or voluntary muscles. These reflex action include knee-jerk reflex and withdrawal from heat reflex. Autonomic reflexes are involuntary reflexes that involve internal organ sensors and produce response by internal organs or involuntary muscles. Autonomic reflexes like reflex actions controlling heart rate and breathing rate. To understand how these two types of reflex action operate, we must look at the structure of nervous system. Our nervous system is divided physically or anatomically into two major components. These are central nervous system that include brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system that comprise cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Let me give you highlights about brain, spinal cord, cranial, and spinal nerves. Brain and spinal cord here is responsible to receive the information and to process and integrate the information in order to send back to the effector. Cranial nerves are nerves that emerge directly from brain and relay or send information between brain and head and neck that include spatial sense of vision, taste, smell, and hearing. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. When we say spinal nerves are a mixed nerves which carries motor, sensory, and autonomic signals between spinal cord and the body. There are 31 pairs of nerves on each side of vertebral column. However, we can also divide our nervous system functionally into somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system is a type of nervous system that integrates information from spatial senses to produce responses by skeletal muscles or voluntary muscles. Whereas autonomic nervous system is nervous system that integrates information from receptors in internal organs and produce responses by the same or other organs or glands. Autonomic nervous system is further subdivided into sensory division, sympathetic division, parasympathetic division, and enteric division. Sensory division is part of autonomous nervous system that transmits sensory nerve impulses from receptors into the central nervous system. Sympathetic division is the second division that transmits impulses from the central nervous system to organs to prepare the body for fight or flight responses by increasing cardiac output or heart rate and pulmonary ventilation or breathing rate. The third division is parasympathetic division that acts antagonistically to the sympathetic division and prepares the body for rest and repair responses when the harmful stimulus is gone by decreasing cardiac output and pulmonary ventilation. And the fourth division is enteric division. This is one of the main division of autonomic nervous system that consists of mesh-like system of neurons that governs the function of gastrointestinal tracts. This division is influenced by sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions, and hence during fight or flight responses it stops digestion processes and it also initiates digestion processes during rest and repair response or after a harmful stimulus is gone. As we can see from the figure, sensory receptors on the surface and within the body receives stimulus from the internal and external environment and then send the information to sensory ganglia and nerves. Sensory nerves and ganglia pass the impulse to central nervous system. Central nervous system then processes, analyze and integrate the information and send back to visceral motor system and somatic motor system. The visceral motor system sends the impulse to effectors through sympathetic, parasympathetic, and enteric divisions or branches. So visceral motor systems of autonomic ganglia and nerves produce responses by involuntary muscles like smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and glands. But somatic motor system sends impulses to skeletal or voluntary muscles to produce responses.